The Nebraska state legislature voted to repeal the death penalty, overriding the governor's veto. According to the state constitution there, the measure needed a minimum of 30 out of 49 senators, and that's exactly the number that they got. The law takes effect in 90 days. It bans the use of lethal injection. The 10 men who are currently on death row will never be executed because the repeal took away any legal means to do the execution. This is the second time that the first-term Republican governor there, Pete Ricketts, has seen his veto turned back. The last time was when lawmakers overrode him on a bill that increases gasoline taxes. The last execution in Nebraska was carried out in 1997. The death penalty is still legal in 31 states. 19 states plus Washington, D.C. do not have the death penalty. This is a very good bit of news.
Yeah, and pretty embarrassing for the governor. But I guess, are the people of Nebraska, being spoken for here? Is that what's happening?
That's really what the question should be, right? Because ultimately it should be based on constituents. Oh, wait, no. As we've talked about, when it comes to, for example, voting on gay rights, we don't put rights up to a vote. So I actually, I go back and forth. I think it's so important that we have elected officials that represent the wills and desires of the constituents, while at the same time, issues of basic human decency and rights should not be put up to popular vote. And we know that 1 in 25 on death row is innocent. We know that it's hugely expensive, more so than life without parole, to execute someone, in part because of the appeals. And you need the appeals because 1 in 25 on death row are innocent. And we know that the appeals prolong the suffering of the victims' families. And we know that the death penalty is not a deterrent to crime. And there's this arbitrary nature to when the death penalty is sought. The racial disparities in terms of the application of the death penalty. The state should not be in the business of killing people. And it just so happens that they kill innocent people at a huge cost to taxpayers. It should just be gone, I would argue, no matter what the individual constituents of the state or country believe.
Perhaps, but then are we moving away from a democracy? You could argue that.
But Lewis,
Uh,
if everybody wanted to reinstate slavery, would that be a democratic decision that we should follow? No, we've
that we should
decided that
follow?
people
No,
people have rights, and that includes the right not to be owned.
that is true. That is true. So, yeah, there are lines. Where do you draw those lines? What is a democracy? What is a republic? That's a different discussion, I suppose. But I agree. The death penalty, it's embarrassing to live in a country where we have the death penalty. It's archaic and it's got to go.
And we've talked about how every other country at our level of development has already gotten rid of the death penalty. Look at who else has the death penalty and ask yourselves whether those are countries that Republicans ever like to compare the U.S. to. That will very quickly tell you a lot about the company that we keep with regard to the death penalty.